Dyslexia is not a disease. It is a condition that you are born with and often runs in families. People with dyslexia are not stupid or lazy. Most have average or above average intelligence, and they work very hard to overcome their learning problems. 80% of children labeled learning disabled are really dyslexic. Dyslexia is a lifelong condition. Labels are a lifelong thing. You want to make sure that they're right. It would not be unusual for you to work with somebody who has dyslexia and not even know it. Older dyslexics are very apt to hiding the fact that they cannot read, write, or spell effectively. That is the reason it is called a hidden disability. My daughter was diagnosed with dyslexia when she was 7 years old. Today I'd like to talk to you about, first, the actual definition of dyslexia, second, the symptoms of dyslexia, and my family's personal struggles to dealing with a child that has dyslexia. My first point is to understand dyslexia. Dyslexia is a type of learning disability. A person with a learning disability has troubles processing words or numbers. There are several kinds of learning disabilities. Dyslexic is a term used when people have difficulty learning to read, even though they are smart enough and motivated enough to learn. The history of dyslexia started in 1860 by a German physician who noted that some patients who suffered a brain injury had lost the ability to read and speak. He called this alexia, or word blindness. Later studies by Henselwood described word blindness as a congenital defect, or abnormality presented at birth. Researchers don't actually know what causes dyslexia, but most common cause is it's hereditary. It is also referred to as a hidden disability. The typical person rubbing shoulders with somebody that has dyslexia are unaware of the differences. Say that you see a person in a wheelchair or somebody using sign language. Those are visible disabilities. Though dyslexics, however, does not have any outward physical disability, hints of storm raging inside. Now that we've covered the definition and history of dyslexia, let's move on to signs and symptoms. The symptoms of dyslexia vary according to the severity of the disorder as well as the age of the individual. People with dyslexia do not make random errors. They make very specific errors, and their spelling reflects it in the same way. Errors in reading they can read a word on a page but won't recognize it on the second page. Knows phonics but can or won't sound out the unknown word. Their spelling is far worse than their reading. They are extremely difficult with vowel sounds and often leave them out. With enormous effort, they can memorize Monday's spelling list long enough to pass Friday's spelling test, but won't be able to spell those same words 2 hours later in a sentence. Now that we've covered the definition and the symptoms of dyslexia, finally we will discuss my family's personal struggles with dealing with a child with dyslexia. As a parent living with a child that has dyslexia, homework is a struggle at my house. We have to come up with creative ways to have her learn her spelling words. She constantly needs praising because she gets frustrated because she's not getting it fast enough. As for my daughter, it is a lifestyle she has to live with. Even though she struggles with reading and writing, she has enormous strengths in other areas, as in people skills, her intuition, and a vivid imagination. In conclusion, I hope you have learned something about dyslexia. So today we've talked about dyslexia, the actual definition, the symptoms, and my family's personal struggles with dealing with a child that has dyslexia. Dyslexia does not have to keep a kid down. Women with some help and a lot of hard work, a kid who has dyslexia can learn to read.